It just seems to be kind of the principle or the hard wiring or the mind of God and how the physical world developed. And prior to Prigogine, they had the second law of thermodynamics, and the universe is running down, and they understood how trees could turn into sawdust or rot, and us into dust, and mountains into sand, and all this stuff. That was pretty clear. What they didn't understand was how things moved from less complicated forms into more sophisticated, higher order things. And when the chaos theory began to explain that, it's a hugely fascinating field. But it seems to be what this binaural brain entrainment stuff is doing. So you have you're at a normal state, and then stuff will start coming up, and you learn just to breathe through it, allow it to come in, just watch it with a witness, with curiosity, as the pain builds up, or the feeling in your body, or the tension in your head. Usually my work happens as part of my body. And you just watch it, and it comes, it builds, and it releases. And when it releases, it's gone. And if it was associated with a trauma from the past, or current trauma, or whatever it was, it just goes. And so you learn to begin how to work intelligently with emotions. Mm-hmm. And as I said, Christian Meyer's thing, you don't do anything with feelings, you just allow them to be there. And one of the really cool things about you can do this stuff without the binaural process, but the binaural stuff supercharges it. Okay, so you start doing this as an ongoing practice. But you start off with doing a half-hour day for 14 days, and then you start an hour a day, and you just go through the and the Holosync version of it. And there's many different binaural companies and stuff. I've just been using, Bill Harris developed a great product, and I've used it. It works. I worked with myself and with people I've been working with for the last 3 years. It's been a remarkable journey that I never thought I would get to. And I had not so long ago, I was so depressed that I was constantly thinking of taking my own life, and so that I've come out of that and done the profound healing that I have is amazing. And it's not that I don't still get pissed off and have deep emotions and stuff like that, but I bounce back so much more quickly. I like to remember the little clowns.
Yeah.
I'm becoming very unflappable, and things that used to set me would knock me on my ass for weeks, if not months. I get over in a few hours, or a day at most, a day and a half. And just this resiliency comes back. So that is one of the most exciting things that Integral Recovery has put into the Integral Recovery practice. It's this ongoing meditational practice that takes you immediately into these deep meditational states, and most people start feeling better very quickly. They start seeing the results of it. And not only that, but most people find it very pleasant. Okay, now before that I had designed a wilderness program, and I tried to incorporate meditation. And generally, if you can get a newly recovering addict to sit for 10 minutes, man, you have accomplished something, because it's miserable. Okay. And with this stuff, immediately you start going to these deep states, you relax. Some of the positive benefits, well, it's known for sure that it begins to restore healthy balances of serotonin and dopamine, mm-hmm. which are two of the feel-good neurochemicals that addicts deplete in their brain. The culprit, the negative neurochemicals that you don't want to see are cortisol and CRF. Okay, and these are chemicals that the brain produces when we're under stress. And they, in the brain of the addict, they begin the craving cycle to start. So remember, in the brain of the addict, we're dealing with stress. Well, by doing these binaural brain entrainment meditation, the data shows that these stress-related negative chemicals are way decreased. So you're improving the positive ones, and you're decreasing the negative ones. So it's really taking on the disease of addiction where it lives in the human brain, mm-hmm. at the locus. Fantastic. And of course, we don't stop there. We use exercise, which also positively, anybody who's maintained a good exercise practice for a while, you know how you start just general well-being and you start feeling better. Well, we do that also. We supplement with omega-3s and fish oils or flaxseed oil if you're vegetarian, and these different things that also support the rebuilding of the brain. But this happens very, very quickly. So it's really good that people begin to feel better very quickly, because if not, you tend to relapse. If it takes years, for you to stabilize your brain chemistry, which eventually it will do at some degree on its own, but usually it takes so long and there's so much suffering associated with that period that people tend to relapse chronically, then you have to start all over again. So also, what seems to happen is when you're using this binaural brain entrainment meditation is that normally people are, if you take pictures of anybody's, normal person, man on the street brain, woman on the street's brain, you see that they tend to be dominant left or right brain. Okay, left brain people tend to be more analytical, more out there, more getting things done in the exterior world, and right brain people tend to be more relational, more interior, more creative, spiritual, if you will. Okay, so there's kind of a split in our two brains, and some neuroscientists actually say we have two brains, it's not just one. But through this brain entrainment, both sides begin to function equally, in tandem. So this creates a huge, and so this creates a huge shift in consciousness. So the metaphor that I like to use is you've been walking around with only one eyeball your whole life, a hand over your eye, and all of a sudden you remove it, and oh my God, there's a whole new depth. So you can have that creative, intuitive, interior, spiritual thing, as well as the logical, analytical, agentic, getting things done in the exterior world. You bring it together, and it's a brilliant. Well, and just as in Chinese philosophy, yin and yang, the receptive and the out there, the masculine, comes together, and that's also reflected in the brain, negative, positive. So it's extraordinary, and it's been around for a long time, and Bill Harris's particular company, I don't know, like over 400,000 people have used it since the 1980s or something like that, and there's many other versions of it out there that also work well. But Bill has just developed a really great product, and he gives lots of supporting information and counselors 5 days a week. You can call up if you're starting to go into one of these chaos phases, because you don't know what you're doing. It can get really scary. But after you've gone through about 9 or 10 or 15 of these reorganizations at higher levels, when it starts coming on, part of you still kind of goes, oh no, but another part of you goes, yes, here we go, getting ready to reorganize, man. It's going to be better. I'm going to be happier and smarter and more capable, and I'm letting go of a lot of stuff that's been festering in my unconscious for a long time. So it really helps, especially with some training, which I'll talk about later, specific techniques we use to deal with traumatic, repressed material, PTSD.